The housing market is in a recession, but not necessarily in terms of prices, but more so the number of sales that are happening. In this video, we're going to talk about how many sales are happening in the market, what's going on in today's market. We're going to take a look at some statistics and also the opinions of some experts in our market as to what they see going on in the market, what I see going on in the market. We're going to cover all of that here in this video. Now, as we jump into the things, if you're thinking about making a move here or you already live here and you want to buy, sell, invest, or even build a new home, reach out to me, call, text, or email anytime. My information here on the screen. And also please consider sharing this video with a friend or a family member who might be interested in this type of content. I also want to add one last thing before we jump in here. We are doing a new newsletter. If you haven't heard about our newsletter, you can go down to the description box below. We are going to be doing a giveaway at the end of September for anybody who signs up between now and then. You're going to get a free Ring doorbell or Nest thermostat of your choosing. If you for this giveaway, we're going to be basically doing a drawing for anybody who signs up, and we'll ship that out to you at the end of September after that drawing. So make sure to go sign up for the newsletter. We're going to be sending out emails probably about every other week. So you're only going to get maybe 2 emails a month. At the most, it's going to be 1 email a week. We'll see where it goes. But this is something new that I'm starting up just to kind of keep people informed on what's going on. So if you're not always on YouTube, this could be another source for you to get information about the Salt Lake City market and just stay up to date. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into my computer here and take a look at this article that just came out. So it says why the housing market is in a recession in terms of sales, but not necessarily prices. July was an even more sluggish month for the U.S. housing market as sales of previously owned homes slipped by 6% from June and a whopping 20.2% year over year. Now it's interesting that they say here in the U.S. housing market, home sales slipped by 6% from June, because if we come over here to my statistics and take a look at June data, you can see that sales are actually down pretty substantially from June into July here in Salt Lake. So we're at 4,100 sales. In July, we're at 3,200. So this is going from from June to July for the U.S. market. But here in Utah, we saw an even more substantial drop. I think that's somewhere about, just some quick math, about 18 to 20% drop in the number of sales that are happening. Now, we do generally see a little bit of a slowdown going from June to July. We saw the same thing last year. We had 300 less sales during that time period. And back here, it doesn't show June data here, but it was a similar number there as well. So home prices are still high though, with the median existing home sales price up 10.8% from a year earlier to $403,000, but that's down slightly from the previous month when it was $413,000. So it looks like prices have come down just slightly across the whole US from where they were at all-time highs, but they're still up substantially from where they were last year. Now I want to jump down here and just point out this comment here by Lawrence Yun, who's the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. Now, of course, you always have to take these things with a grain of salt, because the National Association of Realtors, at the end of the day, they do have an agenda for producing home sales. So they want sales to happen. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's right for anybody at any given time, but there's always going to be people who need to buy and people who need to sell. So just keep that in mind. He said, we're witnessing a housing recession in terms of declining home sales and home building. However, it's not a recession in home prices. We're going to look at prices here a little bit further in depth as we jump back over to that other page. Inventory remains tight and prices continue to rise nationally, with nearly 40% of homes still commanding the full list price. This is really interesting to see that nearly 40% of homes are still selling at that full list price because we're seeing something a little bit different here in our market. We'll talk about that in a second. The dampening of sales reflects the impact of the mortgage rate peak of 6% in early June. He predicted home sales could stabilize soon. Now this is interesting because remember, he's saying home sales, not necessarily prices. Since mortgage rates have fallen to near 5%, thereby giving an additional boost of purchasing power to home buyers. That's true. I've seen a lot of activity over the last couple of weeks. I've seen activity pick back up. People are getting back into the market. They're realizing that this market is really getting back to more of a normal market overall. And this is kind of just going to be how things are, at least for the next, I think 12 to 24 months. Jump down here. So what does this mean for buyers and sellers? Housing inventory jumped for the 4th consecutive month. There were 13.3% more homes for sale than in June and 30.4% more than a year ago. Now, this is also interesting because if we look at inventory here in Utah, we actually have seen inventory increase substantially over the last couple months. At the beginning of May, we had 2,500 listings in our MLS, and as of today, we're sitting at about 8,600 listings on the market. So that's pretty crazy. This is, these numbers here are much lower than what we actually saw here in Salt Lake. It's an exciting time to be a home buyer. For the first time in years, we're seeing sustained inventory gains and the slowing of home price appreciation. This is great. You know, if you've been trying to buy a house for the last couple of years, you'll know that the market has been absolutely crazy, and you know, it's definitely been a seller's market. These metros see the biggest slowdown. So Salt Lake City was among the top 5 markets that saw the biggest year-over-year decrease in closed transactions, with a 39% decline. That means that transactions were down substantially here in Salt Lake. And if we come down here, this is how it ranked based on inventory. So it said that we were number 4 there as well. We had 2.2 months supply, up 209% from 0.7 in July of 2021. So yeah, inventory has obviously jumped substantially in the last couple months. Last month, housing data released by the Salt Lake Chamber showed Utah actually saw a small dip to its median home price in June, down to $530,000 from $535,000. We're going to touch on that here in just a sec, because it's actually more substantial than that. I don't know why they're, you know, really pointing out this old information, but I'll show you what's the most recent info. This means Utah's home prices are beginning to stabilize. Now, that's interesting, because I think this is actually a misstatement here when they say, hey, this means that home prices are beginning to stabilize, because that's not actually what's going on. So that kind of frustrates me a little bit. It's actually welcome news in a housing market that's been battering home buyers. After 2 years of a frenzied market with multiple offers, tens of thousands of dollars above asking price, Utah's real estate market is approaching normalcy. So let's jump over here and just take a look at what prices have actually been doing over the last couple months. So they used some data here. Let's just jump back over here. They were saying that in May, we had a median sales price of $535,000, and it was at $530,000 in June. If I look at this information, this is the actual sales price. This column right here, May of 2022, I'm getting $540,000. So this number is showing $5,000 more. I'm not sure why there's a discrepancy there, but you know, it's relatively close, so we can go off of it. But here in June, we're actually seeing that the sales prices were at $527,000, which is a little bit more of a substantial drop. They're saying that it was $530,000. So these numbers are a little bit further apart than what was alluded to in the article. However, look at the July data. Prices have come down substantially from where they were at all-time highs, right? This is saying, hey, they were at 530 in the article. Right here, I'm seeing that it was 527. Well, in July, we actually were at $505,000. So this means that there was homes that were being listed at lower amounts, right? This is the original listing price of the homes that sold, and this is the actual sales price of those houses. So if you actually, you know, don't just look from May to June, and you actually look from June to July, you'll see that prices have actually come down even more substantially. You know, this number showing here is about $22,000 of a difference there. And so far, for the month of August, we're actually seeing some pretty strong numbers here. We're seeing that the original listing price has, you know, kind of stayed the same, at least through what it was in July, and only down slightly from where it was in June. But prices are, you know, kind of somewhat stabilizing. We'll see if this actually continues, but it's basically saying, hey, the median sales price is almost the exact same as it was in July. So it'll be interesting to see how August finishes the month out, see if we stay right around that 505,000 mark, and then obviously see where we go over the next, let's say, you know, 3 to 6 months. I think we're going to see some big changes in the next couple months, or we may stabilize, right? There could be, I could really see it going both ways. It really depends on what interest rates do. It really depends on what happens with inflation. There's a lot of outside markets, but either way, in the long run, Salt Lake City real estate is going to remain very strong. So if you are thinking about buying, selling, investing, or even building a new home here in Salt Lake, I'd love to chat with you. My information's here on the screen. Call, text, or email anytime. Let's have a chat about the type of home and lifestyle that you are looking for. I've had people from literally all across the world reach out, and I absolutely love it when you guys do so. So make sure to do that. And also don't forget to sign up for the newsletter, and don't forget to share this video with a friend or a family member. We'll see you in the next one.